Hey, everybody, Melinda Russell here with Women's Motorsports Network. And my guest today is Lexxie Master. And if you think that we don't meet women from around the world, today you're going to find out that I do meet women from all around the world. And so I'm excited to talk to Lexxie today. We're on way different time zones, but she's going to tell us a little bit about that and where she lives. So, Lexxie, I want to thank you for being with me today on the show. And the first thing that I want to do is have people find out a little bit more about you. So, would you share, where you live, your family, anything that you're comfortable sharing?
Yep. So we're currently right here. We're at Taupo International Motorsport Park. And so I am based here in Taupo in the North Island of New Zealand. And so right now I operate a big full-size racing simulator. So it's called V8 Supercar Simulator, and it is a full-size V8 Holden supercar. And I also am a brand ambassador for PM. We do a lot of have a lot of PM products, and I'm a big fan of that. That's also what we run in our race cars. And so I typically race as much as I can. I did have an injury, so I'm recovering from a broken leg, so that's kind of slowed me up a little bit. But other than that, that's where I am, and I'm at my dream location at a racetrack, surrounded by race cars and race simulators and all sorts of goodness.
Isn't, that's just your happy place, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So now tell me what PM is, because maybe that's something that they run in the United States. I'm not sure, but I'm not familiar with it. So what is PM?
Yep. So PM stands for preventative maintenance. It's PM lubrication. It's oil. So they actually ran it. It's been around for over 40 years. They ran it in IndyCar in the States. It comes out of Australia, and we were actually really lucky to be the exclusive distributors of PM lubrication products to all of New Zealand. And historically, we were having trouble with oil temperature and oil pressure problems in the race cars. We were running all the other race oils and name brand stuff, and it was old, I guess, logging company used to use PM in their stuff, and it was suggested that we try their oil. And PM makes a PM 404 racing oil. We tried that, and it stabilized the oil pressure. It kept the temperatures down, and then the supply dried up. So it was like, oh no, what do we do? And we were able to track down the original company, and now we're the people bringing it in. And I'm really proud to be involved with everything and to be able to help other racers improve their performance.
Awesome. That's very cool. I'm glad I asked you to explain that. And so, Lexxie, is this what you're doing there at the track? Is that your full-time job? That's what you do? Or do you have a job outside of this?
So I do a lot of things. Historically, I've been a professional scuba diver. I'm also a certified yoga instructor. I do the simulator stuff. We run, take it all over the country, or people can come here to the vault at the track. And a lot of contract work. I do. There's a lot of things.
Okay.
And I'm also a volunteer firefighter at the local brigade.
Wow. You're a busy woman for sure.
Yeah.
And what I find is that, I mean, not that other women aren't busy too, but women that I interview are, wives, moms. They work a job, they work several jobs, they volunteer, and they seem to always find a lot of things to do besides race. They just keep busy for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So when you're not involved with racing, do you have any time to do anything just for fun? And if so, what would that be?
For fun, I like to work on the cars. I ride motorcycles. I used to race motorcycles as well. So I'll try to go for a ride. I also recently went through the process to get my firearms license here in New Zealand. So I've got a really nice rifle that I like to go to the range.
Okay. Again, things that keep you busy, and there's just never enough time for all the fun stuff that we know because we're so busy doing other things. So, is there anything about you that most people don't know that you'd be willing to share with us, or are you an open book?
Um, I don't know. There's probably a lot people don't know about me, but I guess it would take a trigger question to reveal
Okay.
something, I suppose.
Okay. All right. So, motorsports. How did you get involved in motorsports? Who got you started? How old were you? Who inspired you?
Yeah. So I actually got into motorsports really late in the game. Nobody in my family was into it. I just really, really, really liked cars and performance vehicles. And I was actually working as a delivery driver for an automotive store. And so I was delivering like all sorts of stuff just to different mechanics and body shops and performance shops. And one day, one of the guys was just like, "You should come out to an autocross." And I was like, "What is an autocross?" And basically, they explained it as it's a course, and you can take your street car out there and drive it as fast as you can on it. And from then,
Mm-hmm.
I was like all in. So I went to like a novice day, and it was at the end of the season. So I did the novice event, and I was just hooked. I signed up for the full season after that, and then you have your stock car. So then if you win in your class in the stock car, it's like, oh well, I can't just race in that class again. So the next year, that's how I actually got into motorcycles, was because I wanted to modify my car, and at the time it was my only car, and I couldn't fit another car where I was staying, so I got a motorcycle
Uh-huh.
and modded the car, did the modified class, and then ended up finding, oh, you can race motorcycles too, and it all kind of went from there. And from autocross, I went to SECA track nights in America, which are awesome. Again, you can take your street car. I met racer Randy Popes there, which was really awesome, and we've developed a lifelong friendship, and he's really helped me along the way. And just over the years, it kind of progressed, and then to basically now I'm doing national level racing here in New Zealand, which is a dream come true, and something I never thought was accessible to me, which I think is a key thing. And what we're doing here is to let people know that you can be that racer, you can race at a national level. It's not for these other people. It's for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, yeah, one of the favorite sayings I have is if you see her, you can be her.
Yeah,
And in the past, we haven't seen a lot of women, years ago. I mean, in the last 5 years, of course, it's exploding. But
yeah.
in the past, when I was a little girl, for first of all, my parents weren't into racing, and nobody my age, women especially, were racing. And so by the time I got interested in motorsports, it was because my husband at the time, my divorced husband, but he worked with some guys that raced. And so we started going to the track and watching them. Well, my son was about 4 years old. He got hooked, and every Sunday night he was like, "Are we going to races? Are we going to races?" And he ended up getting involved in racing. And so we just kind of find a path that we never thought we were going to take, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. So tell me a little bit more about your actual racing. You said nationally. So is that a series that you race in? Okay. Why don't you tell us a
So
little bit about that?
yep. So most recently, I've been racing in the E30 BMW series that's sponsored by Dunlop here in New Zealand. So there is the North Island and there's the South Island, and there's two separate series. So I've been racing in the North Island series, and that's the Spec E30s, which is really fun. So I've got a fully prepped, caged Spec E30 in the Gulf Oil livery that I run, and that's been really great up until I broke my leg.
Yeah.
So
Did
that's the
you
most.
break your did you break your leg in a racing deal or something else?
No, I rode an ATV off a cliff.
Oh, Well, that's probably not a good idea unless you're Tom Cruise.
No, I think I'll stick to race cars and motorcycles. Honestly, I feel like they're safer.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Well, excuse me. How much of a dive did you take?
It was pretty significant. So I got off. I was able to kind of throw myself off around 30 meters down, but the ATV kept tumbling down to about 60 meters. But
Wow.
I got the whole helicopter rescue and everything. It was
Oh, Lexi.
and it's yeah.
That's
But
that's
the quad
crazy.
bike started right back up after they got down to it. They had a bit of trouble getting it out, but my leg
And
didn't quite have the same fate.
no, absolutely not. So, tell me, what is your car color and number, and how did you choose that?
Yep. So my car color is the Gulf oil, so it's the light blue with the orange.
Hmm.
If you have the video, you can see behind me.
Yeah.
This is an old bonnet from the car. My car
Okay.
number, I usually try to run under 69, and the reason I run under 69 is because whether you're right side up or you're upside down,
Oh,
it's the same number, and that way
that's
it's
great.
easily identifiable on track. Although you never really want them to have to identify you when you're upside down.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing, but that's a good reason to have that number for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I would have to think that, one of your most memorable moments in your life was falling off the cliff and breaking your leg. But as far as racing goes, do you have a most memorable moment? And it could be a good moment or a bad moment.
There's been so many good and bad moments, so there's not really a most memorable, but one moment that particularly comes to mind was a just like a grassroots charity endurance race that we were doing, and it was a whole team of us, and we had this like car that it wasn't fast, but it turned out to be really really reliable, and we had the award for we got awarded most fun was
Oh,
our
that's
trophy, is the most fun trophy, and we had a our team, you had to have a theme, and so our team was the flying pig, and we had a giant life-size fiberglass flying pig with aerodynamically developed wings to hold the pig down on the roof of the car, and so we won, and I was the most fun award, and I'm sitting on this pig with a bottle of champagne and an award like on top of the car with the team, and it was just yeah, that was a pretty good moment, and everyone on the team was just we were thrilled because we didn't really think the car would even finish.
that's very cool, and that's a great memory for sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So, who helps you with your car if there's somebody you want to mention, and are you hands-on with it?
Can you say that one more time?
I Who helps you with your car, and are you
Oh,
hands-on? Do you work on the
I'm
car?
very very hands on. I try to do everything myself. If I can't do it myself, I get my partner and my friends or family to come assist me. But honestly, unless it's like removing a gearbox or something, I really prefer just to do it all myself. And I've kind of documented my journey with that. I've got a YouTube channel where I have a series where I do Gearhead Girl Garage, and it's literally just me documenting my DIY work on the car, and it's not just for other people, but for my own personal reference. If I have to go back in, I can see what I
Right.
did and how I did it.
I love that. So Gearhead Girl Garage is your YouTube
Yep.
channel. So if people want to follow or get on there and see
Yep.
what you've been up to, that's great. That's fun.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of.
yeah, I'm sure there's probably a lot of things on there that other people might get some benefit from too if they
Yeah.
watched it. Yeah, for
I also
sure.
did. Yeah, we did. I'm a member of multiple car clubs here in New Zealand, and with FIA regulations are kind of worldwide, and we've done some videos on just how to get into racing, what kind of gear you need, the standards that you need to meet, and because the standards are ever changing, like with helmets and belts and all that stuff like that. So I try to keep up to date on that and share videos on that, not just for our car club members, but for anyone who's looking into getting racing or wants to stay up to date.
Good. That's good. Good information for people to find for sure. So, do you have any marketing partners that you'd like to talk about?
A lot. Obviously, PM Lubrication and B8 Supercar Simulator have been, the biggest. There's also Mike Shaw Fiberglass, Taupo Brake and Clutch, Terry's Tires, Towling Electrical, and there's so many different people and individuals like Randy Popes that have helped me out along the way and have been pivotal to my racing journey.
Okay, awesome. So, how do you deal with a bad day at the racetrack?
Well, any day where you're walking and driving away in the car, like no matter what happens, is usually a pretty good day.
True.
And if the car is broken, then for me, how I deal with it is go back in the garage and just start working on it and fix it. If I need to get parts, I get the parts. A lot of times, it's almost you almost like when things go wrong, you tend to meet a lot of people that you wouldn't otherwise meet because people in the pits might have the parts you need, and it's really cool. Like at Barber Motorsports Park, I was racing with Randy, and we had a pretty catastrophic failure, and then you end up meeting all these other people who have all these other parts that you didn't even think, and it was amazing because we thought we were done, and we got back out on track and then made some new friends along the way. So there's bad days, but it's also an opportunity to meet new people and to get the car back together.
And so I like that you have kind of a positive attitude about if you have a bad day, because I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, well, if I have a bad day, then it gives me a chance to maybe meet other people who are willing to help. And we know that at the racetrack, there's always somebody willing to help. Yeah. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody you already know. And so I like that perspective that it's an opportunity. It's not a problem. Yeah, for sure. So what's your favorite part of being a driver? What's your favorite part of being a driver?
I just really I love chicanes. I just love being in the car. I love going as fast as I can. And I love just trying to perfect it and get faster and faster and go, using up the whole width of the track. Honestly, if you left me on a racetrack with my race car, and I've actually done this before, I just drive until the car breaks or until I run out of fuel, even if it's, I've had the privilege of being able to do that. So not just racing, but just, hey, here you go, open test day, go as long as you want. And I will just go all day long. Just my biggest competitor is myself. So it's, for me, winning an overall class is fantastic and thrilling. But if I'm making personal best gains, to me, I'm happy, and to be in that car, to be on track, and to be seeing those times drop, that's my favorite part. Yeah,
for sure. To see improvement, even if it's a little bit at a time, it's still an improvement, and you feel accomplished because you feel like, that's part of it. So what has been your biggest obstacle, or maybe something that you would still like to improve on with your driving?
I just constantly want more seat time. I want trying to pick racing series and maintain that competitive edge. Like the E30 series, I had that car, it's all spec, it's all everything. And then as soon as a series regulation change or the class changes, I just got an email that said that Dunlop is not sponsoring the E30 series anymore, and I have a brand new set of Dunlop tires that I've already purchased. So it's things like that are kind of frustrating and obstacles if you prep a car for a certain class and that class isn't available anymore, or they change the class rules, or you have a supply of tires that you bought because there was a short supply, and then you're like, all right, I'll be prepared. And just, there's a lot of costs associated with it that the tedious bets, especially racing on a national level, can get a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. So because they're not sponsoring it anymore, then you have to use whoever is sponsoring. You have to use their tires.
And then you have to hope that they have the stock. So it hasn't been decided yet who will be sponsoring, and then when that happens, you have to get the stock, and then no one's going to want to buy your old stock, and you can't use it on track.
So you've got an expensive set of tires that are worthless, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can wear them out on track days, but.
Yeah. Yeah, true. So what is your goal for your racing career? You're still young. You've got a lot of years left. At the end of your career, if you look back, what are some things you would like to have accomplished?
I want to do full series, like just commit to a full spec, preferably a spec series, because that's why I picked the BMWs, because it's the Spec E30 is a driver series opposed to checkbook racing. So ideally I'd like to do that, and really just to be out on track, to have a life that revolves around racing. I basically set up all my work and everything to give me the ability to go to every single race meet for whichever series I choose to participate in.
Yeah.
And just to continue on with that. And I'd like to, just promote the sport and inspire others that they can do the same thing.
Yeah.
I started with like nothing. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, women, young, old, whatever, they look at that and think, well, that's out of my, ability. I can't do that. And then they see you and you're encouraging women or men too, probably, to get into the sport. And then it's a positive thing. And you're a role model to say, I'm doing it. If I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So have you had any unexpected benefits or challenges about being a woman in motorsports?
Benefits or challenges?
Do they treat you just like one of the guys?
Typically, yeah. Like, and if they didn't, I wouldn't really notice. I guess the benefits is that you're usually typically memorable because there's not necessarily a lot of girls. Some of the challenges I had were really only on a personal level. Like if you ended up dating someone who like I was competing with, and it was fine as long as they were winning, but then as soon as I beat them,
yeah,
the relationship pretty much ended after that. And then and then with the motorcycles, I got into motorcycle racing because I had a partner that was racing, and I wanted to, I didn't even necessarily want to race, but I just wanted to ride on track with him, and it basically ended up being, oh, you're not good enough. I don't want you to go to this thing because you probably won't pass the test. And it was like, I wasn't even trying to pass the test. I just wanted to ride with you. And so that's what led me to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go to race school now, and I'm going to see if I can pass the test. And I did pass the test. And then I started road racing motorcycles. So
there.
That's probably, yeah, and now I've got a really awesome supportive partner that if I beat him, it's fine. If he beats me, it's fine. And we have a really good, like, competitive, relationship where it's like on track, it's like, oh, yeah, it's all go. But then off the track, it's still supportive, and
that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be for sure. Yeah.
But generally,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, but generally, like, especially in New Zealand, it's people. When you show up, like, it doesn't, like, don't worry about what people think. Like, you just show up, and you do what you need to do, the respect comes over time. Like, you can tell that there'll be a little bit of hesitation, like, oh, what's this girl? What's her deal? And then once they figure out what you're doing, it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And sometimes you just have to prove yourself on the track.
Yeah,
You roll up and they look at you and they think, oh, they roll their eyes or whatever. And then
yeah,
once you get on the track and you're competitive and you hold your own, then all of those doubts go away. And so it
yep.
just does take time for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So are there very many women that race and do, like when you're competing, or are you, one of the few?
There hasn't been many. I mean, there's a few, and of course they're memorable because there's not that many. There's a lot more women that seem to be in the organizational roles, um, and then and sometimes they race as well, which is really nice. Typically, in whatever class I'm in, I'm usually the only girl.
Yeah. I kind of figured as much for sure.
Yeah.
So, if you look back and you want to, we all want to make an impact on motorsports in one way or the other, because we want people to, like for me, I want to connect and celebrate women that maybe never get to tell their story. And so that's how I want to make an impact on motorsports. What would you feel like is your, ideal thing if they said, I remember Lexi because she did this or that?
Um, Basically, well, as far as being remembered, um, I it's a little bit long. I grew up in Atlanta. I always wanted to go to New Zealand. Long story short, I ended up on a plane. I quit my job. I had no, no connections, no support in New Zealand. I packed a bag with all of my car racing gear. I wore my motorcycle leathers on the plane. I had a car racing helmet and then my motorcycle racing helmet as my carry-on. I flew to New Zealand, didn't know anybody, and didn't, didn't know how I was going to make money or anything. And just started, I got to a racetrack. I met the superbike guys. I I kept going racetrack to racetrack, traveling around with racers, meeting amazing people. And from sorry, from nothing, I ended up here with a dream life. Like, it's amazing. So,
And I can tell how much it means to you. I
yeah,
can tell how much it means to you. And, that's really, when you talk about a leap of faith, you really took a leap of faith
yeah.
because so what was it about New Zealand that was drawing you to there?
It was just a gut feeling. Like, it was just kind of a nagging gut feeling, and it was a now or never type deal. And it was like, you don't want to have you don't want to know what if. Like, so I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm going to go for it. And it was the best decision I ever made. It was really tough at times. Like, I was homeless, sleeping out of a car, working full time as a professional shark diver at the National Aquarium down in Napier. And, I didn't tell anybody that I didn't have a place to live. And I was trying to, because I couldn't afford it. And I ended up, instead of paying rent, I got a storage shed so that I could have my car parked in the storage shed and kind of leave the door up at night so that I wouldn't get locked in. And then I was able to, because I was saving money by not having to pay, traditional rent, I was able to get a motorcycle. I signed up for the track day before I had the motorcycle. I signed up for the track day to make sure that I got a motorcycle and rode it to, hours and hours to this track, a bike I'd never been on. And basically that's the whole message, is that if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to do it. And it's not easy, but you can do it.
Wow, I'm just sitting here in awe of you, Lexi, because I don't know anybody that's done what you've done because you just, like I said, you took a step of faith,
Yeah.
and you just knew that this is where you were meant to be and what you were meant to do. And
Yep.
I know young women who've moved from California to Mooresville, North Carolina, because they loved racing and they got a job in that, but they had family to fall back on if they needed it, and they had, they were only across the United States, they weren't across the world.
Yep.
And that's amazing to me. So how often do you come back to the States, if at all?
Not very often. The last time I was there is because my cousin got killed, and that was just before all the lockdown stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so maybe every now and then. But yeah, not too often, because it is a big to do.
Yeah.
And then if you make that flight, I think they have shorter flights now, but my average flight has been around 32 hours. And if you're doing that, you want to take at least a month or so to be
Yes.
stateside, because when I do come back, there's a lot to do, and trying to pack it in, and then kind
Yeah.
of apply time for jet lag, and then of course sort everything to be able to take a month or two off here. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of admin to do that,
Yeah.
and then of course I really want to make it worth it when I do go back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm,
That's a long trip. I don't care how fast the plane goes. And
yeah,
so, yeah,
it
for
is.
sure. Yeah. So let's talk about social media, because
Yep.
that's how I meet a lot of women. And actually, I think oh gosh, his name just escaped me. Carrie, is that
Yep.
how I yes,
Yep.
Carrie
Yep.
is Carrie Routes is who introduced us, and he does a lot of things with SCCA and other things, but he's actually he's doing what I want to do, and that is take his motor home and travel to all different
You
kinds
should
of
do it.
tracks. And so I'm going to do some more of that, more than what I've done in the future here. But so I'm a little
You
jealous
definitely
of
should.
what he's doing. Yeah, for sure. But he introduced us. But normally, Lexi, I meet women through social media, or I have people who introduce them to me, like Carrie did. So one of the questions I want to ask you is, how do you use social media to promote yourself, your race team, your series? And how would somebody follow you if they wanted to follow you?
Yeah. So as far as social media, I have my own website. It's ghdlife.com. I use Instagram to kind of cross promote the YouTube channel, the Gearhead Girl YouTube channel, and basically also through the car clubs. I'm the webmaster, and I do a lot of the social media side for the car clubs. And basically, it's posting up the events, trying to be like, hey, this is coming. If you want to attend, it's free, or whatever the price is. Trying to get people out there, as much advance notice as possible, hype people up for the events, hype people up for, here's what we're doing with the race car,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be at this car show, you can come check us out. And just all sorts of that, basically that, and just sharing it with as large an audience as you can. And then also being accessible, if people are asking questions, responding to those questions and interacting with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And so is basically Facebook and Instagram are the two that are what you use the most?
Yeah, so yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and largely YouTube, as I just
Oh,
try
yeah.
to,
The YouTube channel.
I've kind of,
Sure.
even when I was like homeless, I was going, and they don't have Wi-Fi here. I was going to the BP, which did have like the only place that had Wi-Fi, and like uploading YouTube videos. Like the whole time I've been uploading at least like one video a week.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then responding to comments on YouTube, and then sharing the YouTube videos on the Facebook groups and stuff like that.
Uh,
And on my
okay.
so I've got the Facebook GHD page, and and everything as well, and the page for the vault, which is the building that we're in now.
Okay. So I forgot to ask you, when did you move to New Zealand? What year was it?
Um, that's a good question. I want to say 2018.
So you haven't been there all that long.
No, I went. So
5 years.
I went on a working holiday maybe like 10 years ago. And again, that was just a gut feeling like, hey, this is somewhere I need to go. I went there. I thought I was working, volunteering, and also doing marine research down in the South Island. And the company that I was doing the aquarium and marine research for, they, my understanding was they were sponsoring me. So I went back to the States, packed up all my stuff, thinking I was coming to go live in New Zealand, and then the embassy basically that I wasn't eligible, and I wasn't eligible for another work visa, and I never heard from those people ever again. And I spent like years and years trying to get back. So when I got the organization that I had gotten the working visa through they just sent out a generic email one day going, hey, there's this new visa that's been approved for Americans that can, it was like, well, this is it. Like, I either go now or I'm not going to go at all.
Yeah. And it was the adventure of a lifetime, not always the best days of your life, but in the long run, it has turned out to be the best decision you've made.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If anybody's got a gut feeling about racing or really anything in life, like it's definitely worth it to pursue it. You just have to realize that there's going to be a lot of it's tough, but when you break through the other side of that, it's amazing and definitely worth it. And and then you don't have a life of regret or wondering because you did it.
Right. One of my favorite sayings, mostly to my family, trying to decide, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I go here or there? And one of my favorite things is hashtag no regrets.
Yep.
So don't have any regrets. Don't look back and say, oh, I should have done this. I should have gone there. I should have called my mother more. I should have done, whatever it was. No regrets. And so that's one of the things I kind of live by a little bit is, I love people. I send a lot of cards. I, like to know your story. I want to become friends with the people that I interview. I want to keep track of them because I think it's important to hear your story and the other people that I interview. And so I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to blow somebody off because I'm tired or it's raining or whatever it might be. I want no regrets because I never know what that story might have in it. Like today, I did not know that about you. And I would have missed out on that had I not done this interview with you. And so I really appreciate you being so honest and open about what you did, that it wasn't always easy, but it was a good decision that you've made. And I thought you were a motorcycle racer. You know what I mean?
I did. But
yeah. So Lexxi, is there anything that we haven't talked about that we need to talk about when it comes to your story?
Well, I think we've covered mostly the important bits, and basically it's just know that racing can be for everyone, any budget level or anything like that. And then of course, as Carrie probably touched on, the SCCA is in Atlanta region is how I got started with everything, and they're a great group of people, and they'll help anybody out, and you can get started even if you just have your own in your daily car, and who knows what it can lead to. And and basically I've just done if it's cars or motorcycles or whatever, I'm all into it, and I just love racing, and if you love it, you can make it your life, and it's wonderful.
Absolutely. Those are very, very good words that you just shared for sure. Yeah. Well, I don't have any other questions for you unless, like I said, you had something else to share. And I think that was a great way to end the show with your words right there. So I just want to thank you. Let's talk about this for a minute. We didn't mention that it's about 9:45 a.m.
Yep,
in New Zealand, and it's winter. So she has
yep.
on her shirt, her sweatshirt,
I've
her
got like
jacket
four layers on.
because it's cold there.
Yep.
So how cold does it get in the winter?
It's definitely below freezing. It's there's a mountain nearby that pretty much has snow on it about 6 months out of the year. Um, yeah, it gets cold. It's especially
Yeah.
right now. It's pretty cold. We don't have a heater per se in here, so I just layer up, and what is like -3? I get confused with the conversions, the Fahrenheit and Celsius.
Yeah. I can't keep track of those either myself. But it's cold and so it's not racing season.
Actually, it is racing season. So the cool thing about these Kiwis, and this is also another reason why I like, so New Zealand is the extreme sports capital of the world. There's like all sorts of, bungee jumping and skydive, whatever you want to do here. But the racers, if you look at the US, like if you look at how many Kiwi racers there are compared to like the population, like there's a lot of Kiwi racers in the US compared to like this, the population of this country is so minuscule compared to the population of the United States. And I really think that the racetracks here, they're like kind of off camber, and it takes a lot of skill. Like I've definitely become a better racer since I've been here. And I think that these tracks, because they'll just race on anything, they'll race anytime, any weather. And I think that's what produces such great racers out of New Zealand. But so the cool thing is one of the clubs I'm involved with, the Taupo Car Club. The club rooms are actually just down the road. Just kicked off their winter series, so we've got everyone's coming from around the North Island to race in our winter series, and it's about one race weekend a month throughout winter. And then, of course, during summer, you get like all the national series and the summer series and stuff like that. But there is racing year round, and that's what's phenomenal. There's also tons of like hill climbs and rally sprints and motorcanas and gymcanas. Like it's full on pretty much year round, which is really awesome.
I did not know that. And so I can see why now for sure you love being there because you can
Yeah,
race every month of the year. So that's very cool.
yeah.
Yeah. How fun. Well, Lexi, I'm glad I asked you those questions because I learned something more about New Zealand and about you. And I just want to wish you very good healing for your broken leg. And
Thank you.
the sooner you get out there to race, the happier you're going to be for sure. And so I'm going to be following you. You make sure you stay in touch with me as well. And I just hope you have a great season and um, just enjoy the things that you've done and the things that you're going to do. So no regrets.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, and you should get out and do all that, travel
Yeah.
around, and yeah,
I'm going to do that. I promise you.
very good.
All right. Well, thanks again.